girls. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I was too, Meredith. I was too. I've been listening to it since I got up. Are you listening to it on 2 times speed? I am. It is fast on 2 times speed, but I read the book and absorbed very little because I just don't absorb things well when I read. I never have. But listening to it, I'm already like gaining so much insight from just, I listened about 3 hours yesterday, and it's been about an hour this morning that I've been listening, and it's so good. So good. And yeah. All right. April 22nd. David becomes king of all Israel. 2 Samuel 5, 1 through 3. Then all the tribes of Israel went to David at Hebron and told him, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, when Saul was our king, you were the one who really led the forces of Israel. And the Lord told you, 'You will be the shepherd of my people. You will be Israel's leader.'" So there at Hebron, King David made a covenant before the Lord with all of the elders of Israel. They anointed him king of Israel. 1 Chronicles 11, 1 through 3. Then all of Israel gathered before David at Hebron and told him, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even when Saul was king, you were the one who really led the forces of Israel. And the Lord your God told you, 'You will be the shepherd of my people Israel. You will be the leader of my people Israel.'" So there at Hebron, David made a covenant before the Lord with all of the elders of Israel, and they anointed him king of Israel, just as the Lord had promised through Samuel. 1 Chronicles 12, 23 through 40. These are the numbers of armed warriors who joined David at Hebron. They were all eager to see David become king instead of Saul, just as the Lord had promised. From the tribe of Judah, there were 6,800 warriors with shields and spears. From the tribe of Simeon, there were 7,100 brave warriors. From the tribe of Levi, there were 4,600 brave warriors. This included Jehoiada, leader of the family of Aaron, who had 3,700 under his command. This also included Zadok, a brave young warrior with 22 members of his family who were all officers. From the tribe of Benjamin, Saul's relatives, there were 3,000 warriors. Most of the men from Benjamin had remained loyal to Saul until this time. From the tribe of Ephraim, there were 20,800 brave warriors, each highly respected in his own clan. From the half tribe of Manasseh, west of the Jordan, 18,000 men were designated by name to help David become king. From the tribe of Issachar, there were 200 leaders of the tribe with their relatives. All of these men understood the signs of the times and knew the best course for Israel to take. From the tribe of Zebulun, there were 50,000 skilled warriors. They were fully armed and prepared for battle and completely loyal to David. From the tribe of Naphtali, there were 1,000 officers and 3,700 warriors, armed with shields and spears. From the tribe of Dan, there were 28,600 warriors, all prepared for battle. From the tribe of Asher, there were 40,000 trained warriors, all prepared for battle. From the east side of the Jordan River, where the tribes of Reuben and Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh lived, there were 120,000 troops armed with every kind of weapon. All of these men came in battle array to Hebron with a single purpose of making David the king over all of Israel. In fact, everyone in Israel agreed that David should be their king. They feasted and drank with David for 3 days, for preparations had been made by their relatives for their arrival. And people from as far away as Issachar, Zebulun, and Naphtali brought food on donkeys, camels, mules, and oxen. Vast supplies of flour, figs, fig cakes, clusters of raisins, wine, olive oil, cattle, sheep, and goats were brought to the celebration. There was great joy throughout the land of Israel. David conquers the Philistines, 2 Samuel 5, 17 through 25. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed the king of Israel, they mobilized all of their forces to capture him. But David was told they were coming, so he went into the stronghold. The Philistines arrived and spread out across the valley of Rephaim. So David asked the Lord, "Should I go out to fight the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me?" The Lord replied to David, "Yes, go ahead. I will certainly hand them over to you." So David went to Baal Perazim and defeated the Philistines there. The Lord did it David exclaimed. He burst through my enemies like a raging flood. So he named that place Baal Perazim, which means the Lord who burst through. The Philistines had abandoned their idols there, so David and his men confiscated them. But after a while, the Philistines returned again, spread out across the valley of Rephaim. And again, David asked the Lord what to do. Do not attack them straight on, the Lord replied. Instead, circle around behind and attack them near the poplar trees. When you hear a sound like marching feet in the tops of the poplar trees, be on alert. That will be the signal that the Lord is moving ahead of you to strike down the Philistine army. I think that is so cool. Every time I read that, the sound of footsteps, marching feet in the trees, and it was the sound of the Lord moving ahead of them. I just think that's, I don't know, I think that's really neat. So David did what the Lord commanded, and he struck down the Philistines all the way from Gibeon to Gezer. 1 Chronicles 14, 8 through 17. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all of Israel, they mobilized all of their forces to capture him. But David was told they were coming, so he marched out to meet them. The Philistines arrived and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim. So David asked God, should I go out to the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me? The Lord replied, yes, go ahead. I will hand them over to you. So David and his troops went up to Baal Perazim and defeated the Philistines there. God did it, David exclaimed. He used me to burst through my enemies like a raging flood. They named the place Baal Perazim, which means the Lord who burst through. The Philistines had abandoned their gods there, so David gave orders to burn them. But after a while, the Philistines returned and raided the valley again. And once again, David asked God what to do. Do not attack them straight on, God replied. Instead, circle around behind them and attack them near the poplar trees. When you hear a sound like a marching feet in the tops of the poplar trees, go out and attack. That will be the signal that God is moving ahead of you to strike down the Philistine army. So David did what God commanded, and they struck down the Philistine army all the way from Gibeon to Gezer. So David's fame spread everywhere, and the Lord caused all the nations to fear David. David captures Jerusalem, 2 Samuel 5, 6 through 10. David then led his men to Jerusalem to fight against the Jebusites, the original inhabitants of the land who were living there. The Jebusites taunted David, saying, "You'll never get in here. Even the blind and lame could keep you out." For the Jebusites thought they were safe. But David captured the fortress of Zion, which is now called the City of David. On the day of the attack, David said to the troops, "I hate those lame and blind Jebusites. Whoever attacks them should strike by going into the city through the water tunnel." That is the origin of the saying, "The blind and the lame may not enter the house." So David made the fortress his home, and he called it the City of David. He extended the city, starting at the supporting terraces and inward. And David became more and more powerful because the Lord God of heaven's armies was with him. 1 Chronicles 11, 4 through 9. Then David and all of Israel went to Jerusalem, or Jebus as it used to be called, where the Jebusites, the original inhabitants of the land, were living. The people of Jebus taunted David, saying, "Well, you'll never get in here." But David captured the fortress of Zion, which is now called the City of David. David had said to his troops, "Whoever is the first to attack the Jebusites will become the commander of my armies." And Joab, the son of David's sister, Zeruiah, was the first to attack, so he became the commander of David's armies. David made the fortress his home, and that is why it is called the City of David. He extended the city from the supporting terraces to the surrounding area, while Joab rebuilt the rest of Jerusalem. And David became more powerful because of the Lord of Heaven's armies was with him. 1 Chronicles 3, 4b. Then David reigned another 33 years in Jerusalem. 2 Samuel 5:13. After moving from Hebron to Jerusalem, David married more concubines and wives, and they had more sons and daughters. 2 Samuel 5, 4 through 5. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in all. He had reigned over Judah from Hebron for 7 years and 6 months, and from Jerusalem he reigned over all of Israel and Judah for 33 years. David's palace, 2 Samuel 5, 11 through 12. Then King Hiram of Tyre sent messengers to David, along with the cedar timbers and carpenters and stonemasons, and they built David a palace. And David realized that the Lord had confirmed him as king over Israel and had blessed his kingdom for the sake of his people. 1 Chronicles 14, 1 through 2. Then King Hiram of Tyre sent messengers to David, along with cedar timber and stonemasons and carpenters, to build him a palace. And David realized that the Lord had confirmed him as king over Israel and had greatly blessed his kingdom for the sake of his people Israel. David plans to move the ark, 1 Chronicles 13, 1 through 5. David consulted with all of the officials, including the generals and the captains of the army. Then he addressed the entire assembly of Israel as follows: If you approve, and it is the will of the Lord our God, let us send messages to all of Israel, all the Israelites throughout the land, including the priests and the Levites in their towns and pasture lands. Let us invite them to come and join us. It is time to bring back the ark of our God, for we neglected it during the reign of Saul. The whole assembly agreed to this, for the people could see it was the right thing to do. So David summoned all of Israel from the Shihor Brook in Egypt and the south all the way to the town of Lebo Hamath in the north to join in bringing the ark of God from Kiriath Jearim. The ark brought to Gath, 2 Samuel 6, 1 through 11. Then David again gathered all the elite troops in Israel, 30,000 in all. He led them to Baal Judah to bring back the ark of God, which bears the name of the Lord of heaven's armies, who is enthroned between the cherubim. They placed the ark of God on a new cart and brought it from Abinadab's house, which was on a hill. Uzzah and Ahio, Abinadab's sons, were guiding the cart that carried the ark of God. Ahio walked in front of the cart. David and all the people of Israel were celebrating before the Lord, singing songs and playing all kinds of musical instruments: lyres, harps, tambourines, castanets, and cymbals. But when they arrived at the threshing floor of Nacon, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah reached out his hand and steadied the ark of God. Then the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzzah, and God struck him dead because of this. So Uzzah died right there beside the ark of God. David was angry because the Lord's anger had burst out against Uzzah. He named the place Perez Uzzah, which means to burst out against Uzzah, as it is still called today. David was now afraid of the Lord, and he asked, "How can I ever bring the ark of the Lord back into my care?" So David decided not to move the ark of the Lord into the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom of Gath. The ark of the Lord remained there in Obed-Edom's house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and his entire household. 1 Chronicles 13, 6 through 14. Then David and all of Israel went to Baalah of Judah, also called Kiriath Jearim, to bring back the ark of God, which bears the name, the Lord who is enthroned between two cherubims, which bears the name of the Lord who is enthroned between the cherubim. They placed the ark of God on a new cart and brought it from Abinadab's house. Uzzah and Ahio were guiding the cart. David and all of Israel were celebrating before God with all of their might, singing songs and playing all kinds of musical instruments: lyres, harps, tambourines, cymbals, and trumpets. But when they arrived at the threshing floor of Nacon, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah reached out his hand to steady the ark. Then the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzzah, and he struck him dead because he had laid his hand on the ark. So Uzzah died there in the presence of God. David was angry because the Lord's anger had burst out against Uzzah. He named the place Perez Uzzah, which means to burst out against Uzzah, as it is still called today. David was now afraid of God. He asked, "How can I ever bring the ark of God back into my care?" David did not move the ark into the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom of Gath. The ark of God remained there in Obed-Edom's house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed the household of Obed-Edom and everything he owned. All right, we are on to page 59, about halfway down. There is much to this story that isn't recorded. Her son, still very young, but old enough to want to watch his dad work in the fields, became instantly ill and died in her arms in a matter of a few hours. I can imagine that when the servant brought him home to her, that his loving mother immediately stopped what she was doing. Her crisis just came in the door. Nothing else seemed important. When your crisis comes home, you feel the same way. Her focus changed, and her agenda was no longer important. She held her son and prayed for him and attempted in every way to comfort him. And still, he died in her arms. What a seemingly tragic and heartbreaking conclusion of what started out as such a joyful promise. What she does next is amazing to me every time I read it. Let's read this verse to see her response to what had just happened. 2 Kings 4:21. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, shut the door upon him, and went out. She went up to the upper room. She laid her son's lifeless body on the bed of the man of God, the place where the anointing rested, and shut the door. What an example to all of us. Remember, we discussed earlier the importance of having an upper room atmosphere in our home. Our home should be a place that is saturated with the presence of God. It should be a place where prayers and supplications to Him are made daily. It can be the place where we can easily and readily cast our cares, our broken dreams, and plans at His feet. But she didn't stop there. After she shut the door, she embarked on a journey in pursuit of God. In the Old Testament, we know that the prophets were powerfully used and anointed of God. Miracles were wrought through them as they walked in obedience to Him. It is no wonder that this determined mother set out to find Elisha. After all, he was the one God used to speak the prophecy concerning her son. Now surely God would use him to bring life again to her promise. 2 Kings 4:22 through 23. Then she called to her husband and said, "Please send me one of the young men and one of the donkeys, that I may run to the man of God and come back." So he said, "Why are you going to him today? It is neither the new moon or the Sabbath." And she said, "It is well." Again I ask, what? This doesn't make sense either. She had just witnessed the death of her son, carefully placed him in the bed of the anointed prophet, and now she is proclaiming it is well. It would seem it was anything but well in her world, but she had taken her situation and left her problem in the upper room, in the place of anointing, and she shut the door. She didn't engage in conversation that could have altered her focus on her mission to find God. She was determined. She wasn't wasting a moment of her time. Okay. We'll start tomorrow on the points to ponder. All right, girls. And I didn't have Audible like I used to a long time ago, but I didn't have it anymore. So it was 99 cents a month for the first 3 months, and I can listen to as many books. And I didn't realize if you had Audible, like anything, it was free anyway. It didn't cost anything to listen on Audible, and I have 3 months to finish it, and I can cancel Audible and not pay the $15 a month. So I couldn't essentially pay $3 to listen to the whole book. If I cancel, like can I buy a book on Audible to listen without paying the monthly fee? Could I have just paid full price for the book and not have a monthly Audible fee? Because I don't need another subscription. I got too many. Because if that's the case, then when my subscription runs out, you keep the book after you cancel, if you've paid for it, right? Or even this one, because I used a credit or something. I used an Audible. You didn't get that offer, Shirley? Did you already have Audible? I don't know. I just went and I clicked on the link that they. Ow! Sorry, Bessie. Are you okay? Phone right on the head. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I went. Maybe it's because I've had Audible before and they're trying to get me back. I don't know. But I'm like 99 cents a month. I can handle that. PT started yesterday doing exercises, but not to be on my feet for a long time. So that means I have to be in bed with my legs up. Yesterday we had Easter dinner, so my son and daughter-in-law did all for me, except I put the ham in the oven. Son said I should have waited. Yes, you should have, Susan. You listen. You listen to your son. Don't need to be lifting on no ham. You should get 1 credit a month. That will get you 1 book per credit. The books are saved. So, but what if I don't get a subscription? You just buy the books because they're discounted with a subscription. But what if I don't have a subscription? Like when it's over, when my subscription, when my 3-month 99-cent fee is done and I cancel it because I don't want to pay 15 a month, can I go on and buy a book on Audible and just pay for the book without having, or do I have to have a subscription to like pay for the $15 a month, use a credit to get the book and then cancel the subscription, I guess, but you can't just buy a book on Audible without a subscription. It wasn't, it didn't tell me if I had credits or anything. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Why is it hard? Let's see. Audible. Profile. I have 0 credits. Audible Premium Plus monthly. 1 credit a month. So I must have used it for Trim Healthy Wisdom, is my guess. I don't know. Whatever. It's all too complicated for. I don't care. I'm just gonna listen to the book. I'll have it done in a week. Hopefully at the rate I'm going. If I can keep listening to it at the speed, then I'll get it done. I pay $7.99 a month for Audible, yet I paid $26 a book. That makes no sense. Everybody's cost is different. How weird is that? Okay. You just listen to it from Audible. Because I guess I have a bunch, I guess I deleted the Audible app, but I didn't need to because I have like 50 books in there. All stuff I bought with credit, stuff that I don't need. Social media marketing, growing your social media account. $100 million offers, expert secrets. The Matthew Perry book. I never listened to any of them. Uninvited. I have all of these books that I've I have such good intentions with books. I love books. Bookstores and libraries are one of my favorite things in the world, but I don't actually read them. I just like to smell them and download them and pretend that I'm a reader. All right. Okay. Well, interesting. All right, my friends. Well, let's go ahead and end in prayer this morning. God, our Father, we thank you for our time here together and for drawing us all together as a community to draw closer to you. I just thank you that we have this opportunity and this technology to be able to do so. God, I thank you for each woman here and just continue to pray for all the difficulties and struggles that everyone is going through. I ask for continued healing for those that are recovering from surgery or as well as those that are on in the hospital and on hospice like Jamel. God, I just pray for your continued strength and your continued provision for each and every one. God, as we go through this day, it's a busy day for some of us, and I just pray for your wisdom, for your guidance, for your strength to help us to make healthy choices, wise choices that honor and heal our body and bring us closer to you and help us to serve you better and to serve the kingdom. In your precious name, amen. All right, friends. That's right, Mary. I'm full of potential knowledge. I'm full of a potential doctorate degree. So you can just go ahead and call me Dr. KJ from this point on. We'll just, we'll just go with it. Seems to be the next logical step, right? I mean, the amount of books that I have, I'm basically a doctor at this point. All right. Well, no breakfast this morning because I got to go put my boobs in a machine and get them squished. We're all looking forward to that. Let me just tell you. Don't enjoy it. Not that, I mean, who really does? Is there really anybody that looks forward to a mammogram? Probably not unless you're a little off your rocker. I mean, maybe some of you are a little nuts, so it's possible, I guess. But I don't look forward to it because I was reading my notes and the last thing they said was make sure you follow up within a year due to this such and such. And I never did. They never told me that. They never told me to follow up in a year. They wrote it in my notes. They just didn't communicate it with anyone. So it's been 3 years since I last had it done. So that has me all a little wound up. Right, Tracy. I'm dreading the boob squisher a little bit more than yeah, I'm dreading the boob squishing a little more than the workout. I'm kind of looking forward to going to the gym today. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm less looking forward to tomorrow because I know I'm not going to be able to lift my coffee cup because I know what happens every time I start a workout routine. I can't lift my coffee cup to my face. I have to use a straw, lean over. I hate that about starting a new workout. I hate that. But I have my leggings on. I'm all ready to go. I got my leggings on, got my sneakers ready. I got up this morning and I put a dress on and was looking all nice and thought, why am I doing that? I'm going for a mammogram and then going to the gym. I can put leggings on. So that's where we're at this morning. Yay. And the good thing is it's only $150. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. Really, I would think it would be harder if you had itty bitty boobies, because it's harder to listen. Let's just put it out on the table, pun intended. When you got boobs this size, it's really easy because it's literally just. The weirdest part though is having the tech manhandle your boobs. That's a little bizarre. But when they're this big, it's actually quite simple because they just flop up there. So you can all be thinking about my boobs at 10 a.m. That won't be weird at all. All right, girls. Well, thanks for being here this morning. I love you all. If you haven't signed up for the free week of group coaching, make sure you go do so. It's coming up very soon. Make sure you share it, get it out there. I'd love to see 1,000 people join the free week of group coaching. And we're over 300. So we can do it. We can do 1,000 people in group coaching. Let's do it. Get it out there. That would be so much fun. Right. I know. The least they could do is buy me ribs and a baked potato before they, latch on to things. You haven't, Lois? I know there's a lot of people that prefer not to have the radiation, but I just, I want to do it. Erica, if you go to the very top of this post, right where it's introduced the day, you'll see the link there, or you can go to my website, joyfullifewithkj.com, and it's right in the middle of the page. It's me with making a big, excited face, and it's like turquoise, and you'll find the link there. All right, my sweet friends, I love you so much. Thanks for being here. I'll be back tomorrow. If you're part of the Wisdom Workshop, go get your Wisdom menu on. I want to see your meals. Post them in the workshop. All right, I love you guys. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.